Bobby Aylward.
Caller, I too would like to add my voice of compliment to Deputy Michael McGrath and Brenda's motion, and also to my colleague Sean McGuinness, Chairman of the Finance Committee. Last week the Finance Committee heard from a number of people who are wrongly refused mortgage tracker rates by the banks. We heard testimony from people who suffer strokes, nervous breakdowns and severe mental anguish over a near 10-year period as a result of what can only be described as gross financial criminality on a national scale. People's lives have been left permanently damaged in the wake of a scandal which has persisted on a continuous basis over many years. Meanwhile, the banks involved have done everything in their power to avoid honouring their legal, financial and moral responsibility. The time for meaningless updates and hollow apologies is long gone. The government must apply the political pressure that is needed to ensure that the central bank ramps up its efforts at every turn to peruse with venom the 11 institutions which act in precisely the same manner in relation to this scandal. This motion is calling on the banks to fully identify all customers affected by this scandal, to instantly restore all affected customers to their tracker rates and to pay redress and compensation to all victims without further delay. It calls on the banks to provide adequate housing for those that have lost homes as a result of this scandal. Further, the motion calls on the government to threaten a vote against the board of directors in each of the banks the state has a shareholding in. The central bank published its second update in 2017 on Tuesday. The number of customers now affected stands at 13,000, though its figure is set to increase further. This is expected to rise to 20,000, and some experts have speculated the number could eventually rise to 30,000. The effect on mortgage holders living in this incalculable, and in many cases no amount of compensation will be enough to come to terms with the pain and suffering caused. Many have lost their homes, and perhaps some have lost their lives. The stress and suffering has been added by the banks refusing to take responsibility is shocking. If we cannot ensure these banks provide appropriate redress, compensation and ensure pathway to justice for the people who have suffered so badly at the hands of this needless scandal, then we must ask serious questions of ourselves and public representatives. Bankers and white-collar crime who do wrongdoing need to be brought to task and justice enacted.
Deputy McGuinness.